Hey folks, how you doing out there? Welcome to another Drink and a Wink info review, and we're also going to be, in a belated fashion, be shutting down our Peatober discussion. I got a little bit behind, and then I got busy, so I didn't catch all of the peated whiskey that I wanted to talk about. And I'm going to wrap it up here. The focus today will be on Lagavulin, our final of the single malt Scotch whiskey distilleries that I wanted to talk about. We'll talk about a couple other things too. If I can reach it. Oh no. I can't remember where I put it. I'll just mention it. Sorry about it. Rough start. How you doing? This is a perfect night to be drinking some Lagavulin. I'm still got a little bit of a scratchy throat. Michelle's kind of she went away for a couple days and still feeling it a little bit. So it'd be a nice night to drink some peated Scotch whiskey. It was all raining out there tonight, and I answered the question that if you ever are in this situation where you are really trying to get the last legs of a really nicely broken in pair of Vans, and you're like, God, I wonder if the soul is about ready to go. It will go when you get a surprise rainstorm. So I walked home from parking our car, and I completely soaked my feet, both sides. There were holes on both sides of the soles, which, wow, that's really kind of deep. Anyway, in our peat wind-up here, I wanted to just mention a couple of things. One that I didn't get to, and that's what I was looking over my shoulder for, was a peated whiskey that is not from Scotland. I'm going to recommend that if you are interested in sticking in the American single malt area, you might want to check out McCarthy's peated whiskey. Okay. McCarthy's is, I think it's an Oregon, and it's not, I don't think it is, a distillery. And one of my cousins gave me a bottle a while back of their, I guess it'd just be 3 or 4-year-old peated whiskey. They're using, they're importing Scottish peated barley and mixing it with American other grains. I'm sorry, not other grains. They're blending it with maybe some of malted barley grown here. Okay, so again, single malt does not mean that you have to have the same all one malt malting. It just has to come from that one distillery. Anyway, I had a very old one that I was tasting earlier, and I really like it. It really holds up to some things. Again, that one is a little young, but now they have come out with the McCarthy's company. It has been sold to a little bit bigger company, but they're still making really nice stuff. And from what I hear, all the reviews is now they have some sherry cask finish ones. You might want to check them out, but I'm going to move on from that. Today, the bulk of what we're going to talk about is what I consider the last of the big three. We're going to talk about Lagavulin. Okay, now you have heard about Lagavulin. If you're a whiskey fan and you're a Scotch whiskey fan, you know about this Lagavulin 16. We have a little small bottle. I'll explain that in a second. I'm going to pour myself a little. And if you're not a whiskey fan, you've probably heard of it because of the show Parks and Rec. Nick Offerman and his character on there enjoyed drinking Lagavulin. So much so that, as I've told you before, later on, they actually made him a spokesperson and actually got him involved in producing. How much he's involved, I don't know, but producing these special editions, Nick Offerman. And we're going to talk about one of them today. We're also going to talk about their lower price point 8-year-old. Okay, so Lagavulin is the old standard. They can trace their dates back. I don't know if it was illegal distilling or when they went, full force. I didn't do enough reading about it. Doesn't matter. 1816, but they've been around forever. When it comes to peated whiskey, the Lagavulin 16 is kind of the standard that everyone else is kind of trying to touch. I don't know if that's totally deserved, but it's definitely kind of the exemplar in terms of peated Scotch whiskey. And what I'll do is I'll talk a little bit, and then I'll drink each one a little bit. On this nose, you're getting some charred seaweed, a little bit of that barbecue note. This is more seaside than Highland peat, more ocean flavors, maritime flavors than maybe campfire flavors. But they're all kind of there. The nose has a deep camphor smell in there, with a little bit of sweetness on the taste. In that peat wheel of campfire and, let's say, seaweed and medicinal, this is a nice batch of all three. There are some medicinal flavors in there, meaning a little bit of iodine, a little bit of that Band-Aid flavor. And again, it's not a bad thing for us Scotch whiskey folks. But it's just a descriptor of what's in here. Again, nice flavor. On the end, you get, it goes very dark. You're getting a little bit of some more charred seaweed in there. A little bit of ginger. A little bit of a cola flavor. There are some people out there, Greg, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry, but this is, to my mind, it has been aged beyond the way it should be. Or that it should be. It's a little bit too mellowed, and the peat flavor seems to go away. Other people think that's great, and it's like a refined thing. But here's the other aspect about Lagavulin. The first thing that has been kind of a problem is Lagavulin definitely does not put in any of their bottles that they are natural color, or do they put on there that they're unchill filtered. The 16 is bottled at 43% also, which is interesting. So, in a way, this standard Scotch whiskey now has kind of, I remember this being better, and it's still good, but it's not, it's not as lively as it could be. It's tasty, but it's just, like, I compare this to that Laphroaig 18 that I have back there, 17 or 18, and I'll drink that Laphroaig 17 all day. It's just giving more of what I want. The second problem that we have, or that I have, it's up to you, with Lagavulin, is they are owned by D&aW, and that is a common trait of D&aW, that they like to chill filter their stuff, so it's consistent. But I think it takes away a little flavor. They like to add color on it to make it look a little bit, well, let me explain this a little bit more. They try to make this another one of these premium, exclusive, fancy pants whiskeys, okay? Like Macallan. Now, Macallan is a sherried whiskey, but Macallan also does not hide the fact that they do color the whiskey. So you look at a glass of Macallan, and it's going to look darker than it actually is. Lagavulin does that all day. That's up to you, up to me. Here's the other problem. When they try to do this premium whiskey, D&aW, with Lagavulin in particular, and I think it was Oban and maybe Talisker, they went for this very artificial price jump to where for about maybe 3 years ago, I think, Lagavulin, after COVID, Lagavulin 16 was around $150, okay? That is insane, and that hurt them because they just weren't selling it. All right, nobody bought it. They have brought that price down. We'll talk about the pricing of Lagavulin a little bit next. So, as I have mentioned before, okay, Lagavulin 16 is still standard. I still like it. Now that the price has come down, maybe we'll get another bottle of this. But like I said, when I bought this little half bottle at Warehouse Liquors, it was primarily because I just could not afford it. Lagavulin 16 at $150. That's like liter money, and I am the forever eternal side person. All right, that's master's degree money. It's still very tasty. It's just a little flat and a little bit dull to me, to my taste. And I've had so many other fabulous peated whiskeys. It's going to be hard for that to cut through. That's the 16. Now we're going to talk about the next one that came across our path. We're going to talk about the 8. Now the 8 has the wonderful, let's say, trait that this is one of the peated whiskeys that Michelle likes the most. Okay, not a big fan of Lagavulin 16, although she'll drink it, but she really likes the 8. The 8 came out, and again, I'm just kind of using my speculation in my mind, is that, as I've mentioned before, right, you like the 8 a lot, right? Thumbs up, she says. Well, she thumbs. But you didn't say anything, so you didn't say it. You thumbed. Okay, well, I know, but I'm just saying. I said thumbs up, she said, but you didn't say it. You just thumbed it. So the Lagavulin 8, I think, came out as putting something in the price point. You don't want a little sip, do you?
Kind of did, but all the
kind of just. Gone. Can you grab another one from the counter, from the cabinet? So the Lagavulin 8, into my mind, came out when. Or you just want this one? No. Oh, no, okay. The Lagavulin, there's more than 3 glasses, though. The Lagavulin 8, say when.
When?
Okay. Sure?
Yes.
Okay. The Lagavulin, I'll get this sentence out. As I had mentioned before, many, well, not many, let's say 4 or 5, but maybe, it seemed like it was, to me, it was after COVID, the peated whiskey thing got really big. I think it was also, we were kind of getting into like challenge drinks and all this kind of stuff. So there was a certain audience or certain customer base that really just wanted really power-packed, punchy peated whiskeys. Compass Box was putting out a couple, including the Peat Monster, which actually isn't all that big. Bruichladdich with their Octomore was selling a lot, which is super, super peated. So what the other trick to that is when you peat a whiskey and then you age it for a long time, some of that smoky flavor actually, gets refined or gets dulled a little bit the longer it's in the cask. So a lot of companies started putting out a no age statement, heavy peated whiskey, or a very young one. The Wee Beastie from Ardbeg is an example, and I'm Aaron even put out, which is not normally a peated whiskey, put out a 9 peated, which I love. So they came out with the 8. Okay, what's interesting about this is, whereas the 16 is bottled at 43%, this remains at 48% proof. And when I tell you the price, you'll get why we like it so much. This one is also clearer. Okay, so I don't know if they colored it or what. This is closer in color to Ardbeg. The nose is much brighter and fruitier, so that also might mean that there's a little bit more ex-sherry cask in this, maybe Pedro Jimenez sherry. But I could be wrong. It could be just a different type of bourbon cask or just the aging. It just has a little brighter note to it, okay? You might be using newer casks. I don't know. So this is more close to some of the new modern 8s, or modern younger peated whiskeys that we're seeing on the market today. I kind of feel like this is going to be a perma-shelf for us, because she likes it, I like it. This one, on the nose, you just get a sweeter sense, a little bit more of a ex-bourbon cask sense, and a little bit of a sherry note there. There's just more fruit and stuff going on, and it just feels fresher. This might be like let's put it this way. That's like a really, I don't want to compare it to charring of barrels, but that's a really almost burnt piece of seaweed. Okay, this is just a slightly less burnt one, if that makes any sense. That's just taste. That's not what the process is. So I would really say that the 8 is great to my tastes. It just has a nice solid vibe, and it's just a little more fresher. So if you want to dial in and really lock into kind of the dreary, rainy autumn times or winter, you know what this is, but maybe what it is. You want to get dreary and you want to kind of get like this little leathery kind of note. The Lagavulin 16 is probably for you. This is not a leathery note. This is crisper and reminds me some of the other newer distilleries like Bruichladdich. Well, they're not new, but the ones that are putting out these new kind of bottlings, and Lagavulin, that just has a brighter complexity. Finally, we are gonna try. Did I pull it out? Yes, we're gonna try the Lagavulin Nick Offerman edition. I'm just gonna have a little bit, or I won't make it to work tomorrow morning. My church gig. The Nick Offerman edition is fourth in this series. This one is finished in a rum cask. It is an adorable bottle. It's got his picture on there. We've got maps going around to where you'd find rum. There's some funny pictures of him. There's a long story about stuff. And I like this because unlike other, famous name whiskeys here, this one seems like at least it has some kind of, if he's obviously not calling the shots, but this is not like cheap whiskey that just has a face on it. This is still very, very good whiskey, Lagavulin. I wish it was either non-chill filtered or a natural color, but at 11 years, and if this was finished in a rum cask, that color looks pretty reliable, so they didn't add a whole lot of color if they did. Anything else on here? Really cool stuff. As I was saying, this is the fourth of his editions. The first edition must have been just a different blend of either sherry and bourbon casks. There was no like other explanation on it. The second one that came out was the Guinness cask finish. Okay, I did have that one. We didn't own that one, but I did have a drink of that one. Then the Charred Oak came out, okay, and this is the fourth edition with this rum cask. On the nose, this is similar to the 8, but there's a bubblegum, a little bit of a milk chocolate note there. That obviously has to be coming from the rum cask, and just a little more of a woody note. It's a nice nose. There's nothing wrong with that nose. Taste, mid palate is a little light. It's very tasty. The peat does not hit you on the first taste. It's the mid palate to the end before you swallow that you get a little bit more peat, a little more seaweed flavor. This is cute. It's good. Holding a little longer, getting some, I get yellow raisins. Then in the finish, you do get some peat, you do get some smoke, but there's also an oaky punch and some creme brulee. This is well done in that the rum cask finish does not overpower it. Okay. If anything, it overpowers the peat a little bit, and this doesn't taste all that peaty. Now, I've drank 3 peated whiskeys, so sometimes you get a little tongue blight. I don't know what I've rated these before. And I'm actually going to give the 16 the lowest score. I'll explain why. It's just kind of, it's a little boring for me now. Okay. And you're going to pay a bigger price tag for that. They did all this stuff with the prices. I will tell you the price in a second. If they would maybe get this bumped up, these whiskeys, the other two, the 8 at 48%, and the 11 at 46% definitely benefit from that bump because it just gives it a livelier flavor, gives it a little more vibe. I understand when you bottle low when you're talking about a 10-year-old whiskey, but these are 8 and 11, and they're at 46 and 48. You bump it up to 16, I think you have to actually bump that up the ABV as well. So if the Lagavulin 16 would come in at 46 or 47%, 48, I would give it a higher score. Right now, I'm going to give Lagavulin 16 an 8-1. That's not all that great. Sorry, I know some of you love this stuff. It's just not hitting for me. I'm going to give the Lagavulin 8 an 8-2. And because I do like this bottling and they haven't gone crazy with the pricing, I'm going to leave. You know what? No, Lagavulin 11 will also, Nick Offerman Rum Cask Edition, I'm also going to give that an 8-2. 8-3 and 8-4 is where I start talking like this is going to be one that I'm going to buy again. So maybe I'll bump up. You know what? I'm going to bump up Lagavulin 8 to 8-3. Okay, so that's actually my winner, and the price is going to make you happy about that. Okay, yeah, I don't know that I'll buy Lagavulin 16 again. It's just kind of I have so much other peated whiskey now that just kind of is more interesting to me. I'm not saying it's a bad whiskey, and like I say, if you love that kind of flavor, that old darker leather patch on the elbows kind of thing, that's for you. You got it. Let's talk about pricing. So now D&aW has brought the pricing down. They're kind of all over the map a little bit. So after, like I said, 16 being at 150, right now they have come down to $80. Okay, for the 16. And that's also going to take into consideration that D&aW is one of those companies that probably foresaw this this tariff thing. Okay, the tariff back and forth between Europe and here, and Scotland and here, and they probably got a lot of this stuff over here before it actually went into effect. I don't see that big price jump. In the old days, this was already $75 whiskey, so $80. They have at least returned it back to where it should be. 16-year-old whiskey at $80. Okay, cool. Here's the interesting part: the limited edition 11 by Nick Offerman is now coming in at $90. So what are you doing here? Well, yes, it is a limited edition with somebody's face on it, but the other part of it is bottled at 3% higher ABV. So are you want to pay $10 more, get something a little rum finish? I'd recommend this one. Here's the best part: the 8-year-old is right now at $55. That's hard to beat, okay? That we will buy again when we're out. If it stays at that price, we will definitely buy that again. That is really good whiskey. Still, again, I kind of feel like there's a lot of other peated whiskey that's out there that really prides itself on kind of grabbing you by the collar and shaking you up, right? And like, okay, hitting you. These are kind of banking on the fact that this is a little more refined, and a little more stoic, and a little more rich. That's the part that I kind of balk at. It's not all that much richer. So, like I said, I have plenty of people that love that stuff, and I do too. I like it. I like having 3 Lagavulins here. I don't know that I'll buy the 16 unless I see it on sale at some point. The 8 I'll probably buy again. And the Offerman thing will stick around until we're out, and I won't get another one. But it's nice. So I give it recommendations with reservations. All right, one more thing. I started the Peatober thing with talking about a wonderful new distillery to me, and a new distillery like in relation to everything else. I think they just started bottling in 2015 or something like that. Anyway. My great buddy Neil, for my birthday, bought me the Torabhaig, Torabhaig D&aW, which is the third in their Legacy series. And I really liked it. And then I was paying attention to I was listening to one of the podcasts I listened to, Mark, on his whiskey cast. Yeah, I listen to whiskey podcast too, and they were talking about the new Torabhaig sound of slate. Now you see that it looks like it says sound of sleet. In Scotland, they're pronouncing that the sound of sleet, and the sound is in the body of water kind of thing. Did I just say that wrong twice? Yeah, sound of slate is how I'm hearing it pronounced from the people at Torabhaig. Now, Torabhaig is a very young distillery. This is now the fourth in their series, and I have to tell you, this is really fascinating. The D&aW, which I did cover earlier, is aged in American oak, Oloroso, and Pedro Jimenez, and bourbon casks. So that's 4 different casks they're using to put that. This is no age statement. This one, there's not as much of a description on here, but I think this is mostly an ex-bourbon cask, and that's the way it tastes. It's peated a little higher, aged solely in Alba American oak. So this is just an American oak. They state on here that this is natural color and no chill filtering. We like that, okay? I did do a video on the D&aW. I'm going to talk one more time about the sound of slate. This has plenty of peat notes. This smells like it was a little peated, a little higher than all 3 of the Lagavulins that I had. Get a drink of water, and I'll end this quickly. This is bottled at 46. Chapter 3, I think, is bottled at 46 as well. Yeah. So here, we're getting the peat notes, we're getting some oak notes, but there's more of an earthy note here, almost like heather and corn silk, oddly enough. A little bit of like crackers and wafers and saltiness. This is, you can tell that this is just primarily bourbon, ex-cask. This is very tasty. Very earthy. It's kind of like, for me, when we drink big name branded tequilas that add a lot of additives, and you have a little La Gratona, which is additive free, small place. This is very interesting. I'll tell you what, I'm going to drink one more dram tonight, okay? And I have 3 Lagavulins and 2 Torabhaigs out here. I'm going to pour another glass of this over these. Torabhaig Sound of Sleet is very, very tasty. It's got a lot of complexity, but it's also, it's simple in a way too. That's weird, but yeah, it's not putting a bunch of different flavors forward. It tastes fresh. It tastes snappy. And boy, that's a really nice peated whiskey. I remember the D&aW was just the opposite. That was very wild and brought a lot of different type of fruit flavors, having both types of sherry casks in there. So I am going to wrap with the Peatobers. I'm going to give you recommendations here. Here's the thing about Torabhaig right now. You haven't heard of it probably, and if you are wanting to get into whiskey and you don't want to spend, I've talked about some expensive whiskeys. I've talked about it's hard to find good peated whiskey under $60. Both of these under $60, okay? That is really cool. And actually right now, both of these, if you're here in Illinois, Vinny's area, I think both of these are on sale right now. Very cool. I bought this one on sale. The other thing was cool. I literally was listening to the podcast driving, and I was just like, Well, that sounds good. When I went and bought it. So, to wrap it up, I'm going to tell you kind of my favorites of this, and then I'll end it. So we talked a lot about Kilhoman, Lacheg, Kalila, the old standard. We talked about the big three: Ardbeg, Laphroaig, and Lagavulin. We talked about Bruichladdich Pork Charlotte. I remind myself. We talked a lot about a lot. All right. And what was very interesting is, first, I realized I have more peated whiskey than I thought I did. Secondly, my tastes have changed, and if I'm going to say that the right now, if I'm going to recommend one peated whiskey without kind of a price idea, I would have to say that for my money, I really, really, really like Lacheg's aged in the where did we go? Sorry, give me a second. In the Rioja cask, the Sinclair series. Wait, did I have that right? Yeah. This one is a very spicy and deep, even if there's no age statement. And it's not from Isla, it's from the Isle of Mull. This is the one that I have to say, this is like kind of the most interesting one I tasted today. Just through this whole series. I liked everything that I drank. A couple of things like Laphroaig and actually Ardbeg, I was kind of like, okay. I've just gotten used to them. Other standouts for me will always be Port Charlotte 10. Bruichladdich, don't sleep on that one. That's really good. And now, I was always struggling to find a kind of, relative bargain peated single malt scotch. And I now have that, thanks to my friend Neil, with the Torabhaig. Okay, it's really high quality. They're not coloring it. They're not filtering it. The reason why it's lower is because you don't know how to pronounce it, and it's a newer distillery. They're doing really high quality product. So if you have taken nothing from this, if you want to get a definitive Isla Scotch with plenty of peat, I'm going to recommend Port Charlotte 10 from Bruichladdich. Okay. You can fight me on that. You could get an Ardbeg 10. You'd be Laphroaig trend. You're getting more exemplars of what they are than the Port Charlotte. But the Port Charlotte 10 is an outstandingly high quality, really good stuff. And if you want to save a few bucks and try something interesting, but you still want to try a peated whiskey, I am wholeheartedly recommending Torabhaig's Noctamon or the Sound of Slate. All right. That's it. All right, I'm gonna check out here. This was a little longer one. Thanks for sticking with me on this. And I encourage you to maybe try one. Even again, if you're not going to buy anything, at least next time you're out, you're going to get a whiskey. Now you know what to look for, and you don't have to look like a rube and go like, well, is that a peated one or not? You can kind of know. And the thing that's really interesting about this is, again, we have to remember that they are not adding anything to any of these single malt Scotch whiskeys. This is just the process. You only have a couple of options. What yeast strain you're using, okay? How you're going to age it. And right in between, after they take the grain and they let it sprout and they're malting it, okay, which means they have to stop that sprouting by heating it up. You could either use an electric fire, you could use a wood fire, I guess you could use a coal. I don't think that anybody does that. And finally, instead of using an electric fire or a wood fire, you use peat bricks, and that gives it kind of a smoked nature. You know what I mean? Think of when you're barbecuing chicken, okay, and what you might do with a sauce. You might use one that's not really smoky tasting. You might use more of a sweeter marmalade type base sauce. I'm out of my element. I'm over my skis here, but you get the point. So that's what's happening with peated whiskey. I really had a lot of fun talking about it, and the best thing is I got to go through all of these peated whiskeys and see which ones I like. I'm going to pour myself another glass of Torabhaig and Sound of Slate, and I'll see you next time. All right. The peat.